This is Referee's World with Darren Cullum and Richard Mellin.
Hello again and welcome to another episode of the Referee's World podcast, which offers training and education for referees of all levels. You can listen to our weekly podcasts every Friday from 5 p.m, and now you can listen to our complete back catalogue by clicking on the listen section of the website refereesworld.co.uk. Don't forget to enter your email address into the subscribe box and we'll notify you every time there's a new episode or some news that you need to know about. My name's Darren Cullum. I'm a Level 5 referee affiliated with Somerset FA, and this is PGMOL Observer and South West Pool Observer Coordinator Richard Mellin. Rich.
Hi Darren.
How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's match day again, but we haven't got any games, so let's do something else, shall we? What are we doing today?
Let's have a chat with a refereeing colleague of ours in Holland. So we'll speak to somebody in just a moment who has their own refereeing blog and gradually over the years has grown to quite an extent, as we've discovered. He's been actually following the Referee's World podcast for 10 years since we started, and we're going to speak to Jan in just a moment here on the Referee's World podcast. First of all, though, Rich, let's give a sense of day, a sense of time, just so people get an idea as to when we're recording this. It is the 13th of February today. Obviously, there's a little bit of romance in the air, but there always is with me and you, Rich.
You are silly boy.
that was a very nervous laugh.
That came off the cuff, and I did not expect that. So, should we restart this podcast? Please don't listen to this, you listeners.
No, let's leave it. Let's leave it. I'm still chuckling away after your little mess up in the last episode where you talked about slipping on a banana as opposed to slipping on a banana skin.
Yeah.
I listened to that the other day. Brilliant.
Yeah, I listened to it and I thought, oh my word, it does sound a bit naff. But we do these things, don't we?
So just to set you up, Rich is at home. He's doing this via Skype. I'm here in our radio studio. Our guest will also be at home because he lives in Holland. So what do you know about Jan? I presume it's Jan, isn't it?
It is Jan. I've known Jan for a few seasons now. And we got to actually meet on a Zoom meeting last season when we were doing our referees training camp at St George's Park. And Jan got to hear of it and saw our posts on Par 4 Sports. And he connected with us and he joined our meetings. So he's fully conversant with the referee's life, a referee himself. But we won't steal too much thunder because I think we should ask him those questions about his background, where he goes, what he does, because he sees quite a good level of football out there in Holland.
So let's not waste any more time. Let's welcome to the Referee's World podcast, Jan Hamsel from DutchReferee.com. Did I pronounce that right, Jan?
Thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on your podcast. I've been listening to it for ages, so and I'm glad it's back. And on a weekly basis, we can listen again to the Referee's World podcast.
Jan, let's start where we would start with any guest, really, and just for you to tell us a bit about yourself, your background, and your career in refereeing.
I'm an online communication specialist, and then I thought, why not start a blog about refereeing and share something about refereeing? I'm from DutchReferee.com, for who doesn't know. It's a website that started off as sort of a website that gives positive attention to referees, because normally at that time it was because they made a mistake, and now it's become more an educational platform for referees where they can get fitness tips, case studies, information about laws of the game changes, videos, and I've tried to help referees from all over the world in becoming a better referee, and that's what the blog is about. And I do referee myself as well, so I do referee youth football in the Netherlands. I'm in the second group of youth referees. It's the under 19, under 17s of like professional clubs, but not Ajax and Feyenoord yet, but the teams in the second tier. So the youth academy teams of the professional clubs in the second tier. Yeah, it's a great experience, some good football. And since a few years, I'm also a referee instructor for the KNVB. That's our football association in the Netherlands. And yeah, it's great to help young referees, or sometimes they're old but new to refereeing. And it's a pleasure to see the enthusiasm with the new referees and the people who want to become a referee, to develop, to learn, to start their career. I get so happy when I do that and help referees out, and that's also like part of my blog now as well. So refereeing has become a big part of my life. And I have to say, I actually started working less in the last year. I thought I could get every Monday off to start talking and working on the blog and talking about refereeing and doing more with referee stuff and help people out. And I just work 4 days a week now. And I have to say, it's a pleasure to be more involved in refereeing.
Very quickly, Jan, have you ever refereed here in the UK? If so, how would you say refereeing at the level that we're all at differs to what it does back home in Holland?
I think Scotland is still the UK. So yes, I did referee in the UK. I refereed on Islay, one of the islands in Scotland. It was, what would they say, a local cup game or... Well, they said it was the semi-final, but after that they said they only got 4 teams. But it was a real pleasure to be refereeing there. Maybe football culture was a bit. The football culture is very good. The football I was officiating, like good challenges, people going in, quite intense. But I love that type of football. I love to see people going for the ball and working hard to win. As a referee, you also really want to enjoy the game. You want to see a proper game of football and not just people defending or just technical skills. You want attacking football. That's what I love, and that's what I've seen when I was refereeing there as well. And I've refereed in Portugal at a tournament. And there were also like teams from the UK I've seen, and they all love to play football, go in, some good challenges as well. But I love that. One
of my questions to you that I thought about was, we're currently in lockdown as regards grassroots football here. Is that similar in the Netherlands at the moment?
Yeah, in the Netherlands, the 2 top levels are playing in the Women's League. Right. And even in the Netherlands, all academy teams are off. So I do normally officiate academy teams, but they're off as well. So my last game was in October. So we are in lockdown. But luckily got the email last week from KNVB that they will do online classes. What they would normally do, like go to a sports club, have a session there with the referees. They now planned out from February till May some online sessions for referees, and I'm instructing there as well. So people stay active, stay motivated. You don't want to lose referees. Like some people might think, it's nice to have the Saturdays off, or it's nice to do something else or have more time with the family, which is also important. But to keep referees and to retain the big community of referees and keep them active, keep them interested. I love the fact that they organize these things so people would say, "Oh, this is great. It keeps me involved in the game as a referee."
With the situation then, as you've just highlighted to my question, when we get restarted, and I say we, that's everybody involved in grassroots. Do you see any areas in which we need to be conscious as regards the frustration, the inactivity? Do you see frustrations being vented on the field of play? And what sort of preparation would you guys be sort of willing to give as advice for any referee around the world?
Yeah, I think people will be more frustrated. People are, especially now, maybe it gets better when people can be out again, be active. But I think in the first few weeks and months, people would be more, they can't do everything that they want to. So if you want to deal with that, it's difficult to manage. I think both FA or KNVB or whatever football association can do something about it. That they support the referees in what they do and what they, if something happens, that they support the referees, but also in a way that as a referee you need to be alert in terms of game management, that maybe you should manage the game differently or keep the leash a bit shorter in the beginning to see how players react, how people react on the field of play, or the coaches on the bench. you need to take that into account. You can't go like, oh, let's play football and let's have a game with lots of challenges and lots of things happening, because someone might be very frustrated, and then you can go much further. And what you also want, and that's just a physical thing between players, like where do you set the line, how far can people go? But it's also like frustration towards the referees, like dissent, verbal things that they want to say or shout, or more aggression towards you as referee. And I think as referee community, we should stay quite strong on that. Like, we don't accept certain things, and make sure that we deal with it properly, because if we don't react on reactions like that, it might get worse. So players should immediately know that there's a line that they can cross, and that's like, it might cause a red card or a yellow card or a verbal warning. But at least as a referee, you should be aware of how people react and act on that, I think.
Okay. You made mention about game management in our conversation, and the consequences, not the consequences, but players returning to play. We need to keep a tight leash. Do you have things in place such as sin bin in the Netherlands? Do you use sin bin?
In the Netherlands, there is a sin bin option, but in the Netherlands, we have football in two categories. We have category A and category B. Category B is the lower level football category, and they usually have club referees, so someone of the home club will officiate that game. In that category, we do have sin bins, and people get a sin bin for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And in the Netherlands, the sin bin, if you go to the sin bin, you get shown a yellow card, and it counts as a yellow card as well. So if you get your second yellow card, you you went to the sin bin with the first one, and with the second one you're off.
Interesting.
You build so you can't get two sin bins, because then you're off. You got your second yellow, and that's a red card.
So that's an official sending off once you've had two sin bins.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to call Darren in here, because he's our active referee of the pair of us. Darren, you're using the sin bin at the moment locally, up to county level, I think it is. Explain our interpretation of how we use the sin bin to Jan and our listeners.
So just to recap then, like Jan, I think my last game was probably October, November as well, so I need to recall. So as far as I remember and recall, because it's my first season using the sin bin, we would give the sin bin, and it would be an additional extra. So you could use the sin bin, they would get 10 minutes, okay? You'd show them the yellow card, but it wouldn't count as the yellow card, okay? So if they were going to be sent off, then you would have to have two more yellow cards for two more offences.
Yeah. Okay. If we break this down,
did that make sense? Did I explain that right?
Very close. Very close to sense. But what we use here, Jan, is the sin bin is used for dissent, and the player will be
dissent.
The player will be shown the yellow card.
Yeah.
The player can then come back on after 10 minutes, and then he can be yellow carded for a reckless challenge and remain on the field of play. But once he oversteps the mark and shows dissent again, he will be replaced, because he goes off for a second time in sin bin. Or if it gets worse than that, he will be dismissed and not return to the game, and the team will be down by one player. So there are differences how we use the sin bin. Does any of what I said match up with what you do in Holland?
Yeah, I realized it was different with the dissent, and you get the extra card for the players. In the Netherlands, we don't have that system. But they changed the time of the sin bin. I'm not sure. Is it 10 minutes in your country?
Yes, 10 minutes, yeah.
In the Netherlands, it was 5 in the first place. So that was a bit short. But what I've noticed when people talk about giving the sin bins, because they're in a different category than I'm refereeing in, but when they go to 10 minutes, some referees think 10 minutes is quite long if you play 90. So they are more hesitant in showing their yellow card. But I think that's not how it should work. Like, referees should see it as a different opportunity to make sure that a player is not misbehaving. And I think the opportunity for dissent, for the extra option that you might not get. It might not be used for the second yellow card option, but it's an extra option for referees to deal with dissent. I love that opportunity because verbal offenses are increasing in my experience. So I think using the sin bin to calm someone down, to let him cool off, I think that works brilliant. I think that could work really well. And some players will still not calm down, but that's in the end their problem.
Okay. Interestingly, you say dissent is on the increase, or verbal dissent is on the increase, because it's been a plague here in our game for some time, and this is why the sin bins were introduced to try and help the referee control irate players who would express themselves quite aggressively sometimes, and that's why it was introduced. I understand from stats that are released by the FA here that cautions have dropped since the sin bin was introduced. But is that saying that dissent has stopped? I'm not so sure that's the case, because I do think dissent still goes on, and some of our referees don't quite understand the best use of the sin bin or how to set up the sin bin. So it's a work in progress project, in my opinion. That's my view. It is what it is, but it is a good tool and it has helped.
Yeah.
I want to know a little bit about your view on the comparatives of Dutch football and the English football from a refereeing perspective. Your favourite player when you were growing up, who was that?
Mark Overmars.
Okay.
Yeah. The mighty Overmars. Yes.
Yeah.
I actually have to admit, when he moved to Arsenal, I thought, this is. I'm still following Arsenal because he played there for a few years. Dennis Bergkamp also played for Arsenal, but Mark Overmars was my player because he was tiny and he was very quick. He got better football skills than I had, but I was also very tiny and very quick. I was not so good in football, but I compared it like myself to him. He was a left winger as well, and I really loved him.
So, Jan, just let's go back to your refereeing blog, DutchReferee.com. And when you type anything about Dutch referees into Google, you seem to come up top on Google. So you've clearly done a fantastic job, and obviously in your line of work, you're bound to do. So for those that haven't seen your website, there's a lot of information. You've put a lot of work into this website. There's a lot of tips and tricks and so on and so forth. What else have you got on the website that you can drive people towards that would hopefully help them learn from what you're offering?
On every Tuesday, I launch a new quiz. So every week on a Tuesday, there's a new Laws of the Game quiz that people can participate in. I usually have some goodies that I can send every month to one of the winners. That gets online every Tuesdays. I do have case studies where I have a video of an incident and I discuss it based on the laws of the game, on what can you do, what is not possible. I'm getting back also to Fitness Fridays. It's fitness seems to be a very interesting topic for referees because they want to stay fit. And on Fitness Fridays, I try to highlight a few new things in refereeing and in fitness and what is important for referees, because some referees are, for example, going to the gym and doing lots of arm work and they have muscles on their arms like they're the Hulk or something. But as a referee, you sometimes need to do some different exercises like doing squats or doing lunges. And that's also what I try to interview physical trainers, or I read from physical trainers like Simon Breivik, who's in PGMOL, and he talks about refereeing and says what is good for you and what is not. And I recently followed an online session from the FA and the Referee Association with one of the physical trainers there as well. And that's what I try to combine on Fitness Friday, like how can you improve sprint, or how can you improve your endurance, or what can you do as exercises at home that help you be a better referee. Now, that's what I also share on the blog, and also like a variety of interviews, but that depends on when I do have time and when people want to respond. But I usually get some top referees there that share some tips with me.
And if you would like to know more information, just go to DutchReferee.com. And thank you so much for taking time out to be on the Referees World podcast. Just a reminder, if you'd like to check out Jan's blog, just search for DutchReferee.com. Jan, and we'll hopefully catch up with you again very soon.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the invite. And I hope everyone can referee soon again.
Thank you, Jan. Take care. Stay safe.
Take care.
The download is complete.
This is Referees World with Darren Cullum and Richard Mellin.